The Galactic Council's chamber was never silent, not even during war meetings, but this time something felt different. Every alien species sat still, their eyes fixed on the giant screen floating in the center of the room. Flickering images showed a blue and green planet hanging in the darkness of Spacecom, spinning slowly, wrapped in clouds. That planet was called Earth. "We should ignore it," said Minister Vrao, his insectoid wings twitching nervously. "There are no records, no probes survived. Perhaps it's just a myth, an illusion generated by the radiation belts in that sector." But someone had already seen the planet up close and lived across the chamber. General Tolan of the Brutari Alliance stood with a deep scar across his jaw. His voice boomed as he pointed to the screen. "I lost 2 cruisers, 14 dropships, and nearly 3,000 soldiers. We did not attack. We only approached. Earth responded like a beast waking from its sleep. That's when." Whispers turned into fear. The council knew the general never exaggerated. He continued, "Our ships were torn from the sky by magnetic storms and missiles that moved faster than light. The humans didn't speak or negotiate. They acted with speed we've never seen. One of my lieutenants survived a crash landing. What she saw on the ground made her scream for evacuation. The screen changed. It now showed footage recovered from the helmet of that Brutari lieutenant. Explosions shook the ground. Shadows of humans moved through the smoke, fast and low. One man ran into gunfire, dragging 2 wounded soldiers, 1 human, 1 alien behind him. He didn't wear armor. He carried a plastic shield with the words, 'Police,' written across it. When asked why he saved even the enemy, his only answer was, 'Because no one dies on my watch.' There was silence again, heavier this time. Then someone asked, 'Why would a human help the enemy?' Another voice replied, 'Because they don't fight for survival. They fight for belief.' The words stung like cold wind across metal skin. These were not warriors driven by fear or greed. These were creatures who burned with something deeper. Many of the council members didn't believe it. Some called it fake, some demanded more proof. But General Tolan leaned forward and placed a small black box on the table. It clicked open. Inside was a chunk of metal melted, fused, and twisted. It used to be part of a tank, not alien. Human. The blast that did this came from a weapon no species has ever built, he said. It created a vacuum, sucked oxygen from a 10-kilometer radius, and compressed matter into shards. Yet the humans who fired it stood just meters away and survived. How is that possible? Asked a blue-scaled Zaran diplomat, eyes wide with disbelief. Tolan replied, "They adapted. Their bodies absorb radiation. They heal faster. They feel pain but ignore it. Their world forged them. Earth is not just a planet. It's a forge." Others disagreed. Perhaps it was just a defense drone, or some roga, But deep in the council chamber, an old archivist spoke a being who hadn't moved in 300 years. His voice cracked with age but shook the room. "There are legends older than our council. Stories of a world where storms breathe fire, where beasts walk beside men, where children survive what warriors fear. That world is Earth." I did not believe the stories. Until now, in the back of the chamber, a small shuttle docked. From it emerged a wounded alien girl, gray skin, bruised limbs, and a fractured breathing mask. She was the Brutari lieutenant, rescued by humans. She was trembling, not from pain, but from something deeper, a memory. "I was trapped under debris," she whispered, as the chamber leaned in. "I saw them coming. I screamed. One of them, a human, cut through steel to reach me. I asked him why. He said, 'Because you're still breathing.' He carried me for hours while the forest burned around us. When I cried, he sang. When I bled, he held my hand. No one spoke. Even the skeptics looked shaken. The silence was broken by an urgent transmission. The council's holograms flickered. A probe had returned, one sent long ago to observe Earth's moon. The final image stunned everyone. It wasn't a weapon or a fleet. It was a piece of paper, taped to the camera lens. Written in crude marker were 4 words. "We see you too." Panic surged. The probe had been caught by humans. And they had sent a message. Not with violence, but with calm confidence. One council member whispered, "They knew we were watching. They let us see what they wanted. They let us come. And when we did, they held back." This wasn't a defense. It was a warning. And that's when the truth began to settle in like cold fog. Earth wasn't a myth. It wasn't primitive. It wasn't lost. It was waiting. And now the galaxy had woken something they couldn't control. Asterisk. The council hall remained dim long after the message appeared on the probe's lens. "We see you too." That sentence replayed across every screen in the chamber. Some called it a threat. Others said it was a message of peace. But deep down, no one believed it was peaceful. Not anymore. General Tolan broke the silence again, standing taller now. "They want us to know they're watching. That means they aren't afraid. They knew our technology. They knew we were coming." That message wasn't a response. It was a plan. The old archivist nodded slowly, his pale eyes glowing with memory. "They sent a paper note, not a digital code. That's how sure they were. We'd find it. This is not just technology, this is strategy. This is a species that plays long games." Outside the council chambers, fleets moved into position across several star systems. The council wasn't ready to attack Earth, but it was preparing just in case. The air grew thick with quiet panic. The council needed proof Earth was real, undeniable, physical proof. That's when they turned to Scout Captain Ezer, a silent, cold-eyed recon pilot who never failed a mission. She was tasked with the impossible. "Go to Earth," the high speaker said. "Land, touch the soil, see them with your own eyes. Bring back something. Anything. We want truth." Captain Ezer said nothing. She simply nodded, bored in her black ship, and left within the hour. As she approached the edge of the Sol system, things started going wrong. Her ship's readings jumped. The sensors couldn't lock. Gravity wells appeared and vanished. It was like the space around Earth twisted reality itself. She passed the moon and slowed near Earth's upper orbit. From here, the planet looked quiet, wrapped in clouds and oceans. But Ezer's scanner picked up thousands, no, millions of signals. Most were not military. She saw satellites built from scrap metal. Machines welded together like art, some spun in odd orbits. One of them blinked light in a strange pattern. Ezer decoded it slowly. It wasn't a warning. It was a joke. "Nice spaceship, yours or rented?" Ezer frowned. The humans were mocking her. She changed course and dove low, just over the clouds. Then something pulled her ship down, not a weapon, not gravity, but something stranger. Her controls flickered. Artificial intelligence froze. She was forced to land in a valley full of green hills and thick fog. The ship shut down completely. All systems died. She stepped out with only her sidearm and translator. No drones, no cameras. No ambush, just silence. Wind and birds. But then came the voice. Calm, human. A man standing nearby. Dressed in cloth, not armor, not uniform. He had a long stick and a basket of wild berries. He wasn't afraid. "Lost?" he asked casually. Ezer raised her weapon. "Do not move," the man blinked. "You're not from around here, huh?" "Council scout, maybe. Took you long enough. How do you know who I am?" She demanded. "Because you're the fourth one this month," he said, sitting on a rock like they were old friends. "The last one crashed into the ocean. She's still drying off. Want me to take you to her?" Ezer didn't lower her weapon. "Are you military?" He laughed a deep, real laugh that made her stomach turn. "Lady, I'm a gardener. I just pick berries and grow things. But I know how to land a starship if I have to." Most of us do. That answer terrified her more. than any army would have. She activated her hidden beacon. No signal, no power. She was completely cut off. The human stood and started walking away. You coming or not? He asked. Against all logic, Ezra followed. He led her to a small cabin built beside a river. Inside were maps of the galaxy, photos of distant worlds, council insignias, and a wall full of council probe parts. She recognized one of them. It was hers from 10 minutes ago. How did you get that? She whispered. We took it down before you even noticed, the man said. Look, we're not trying to scare anyone. We just want you to stop poking around like we're bugs. You want proof? You've already got it. He pointed at a small girl sitting in the corner. Her skin was pale purple. Her arms were covered in thin scales. That's Lyra. She's Zoran. Crashed here 3 years ago. Her own people never came back. So we raised her. Now she speaks English better than me. Lyra waved shyly. Ezra stared in shock. A Zaran child raised by humans. Safe, fed, alive. You don't want war, she said slowly. No, the man replied. But we'll finish it if you start one. You think we're dangerous now? This is us being polite. That night, Ezra stayed by the river, unable to sleep. The stars above looked the same, but everything below had changed. She didn't know if she had discovered Earth or been discovered by it. She picked up a stone and turned it over in her hand. It looked like nothing, but it weighed heavier than anything she had ever known. Captain Ezra stayed on Earth for 3 days, though it felt much longer. Her ship remained dead, buried in mist, silent as the mountain beside it. The man who had found her, he never gave a name, acted like her visit was a casual drop-in. Each morning, he brought her food. Each evening, he asked if she was ready to return. She said no, not yet. She needed more proof. She needed to understand what this planet really was. He didn't argue. He simply led her deeper into the land. They hiked across thick forests and crossed rivers on narrow planks of wood. They passed machines rusting in the trees, old tanks now covered in moss. Some had alien symbols, council symbols. One even had her own language carved into its side. These were from the Recon War, long before I was born, the man said. You thought we didn't notice back then, either. But we did. Ezra looked closer. The tanks hadn't been destroyed. They had been abandoned. The soldiers hadn't died. They had left, voluntarily. They were given a choice, the man added. Some chose to leave, some stayed. There's a village nearby filled with their grandchildren. Ezra couldn't believe it. Soldiers from the council living peacefully on Earth, building homes, growing food, raising families. She demanded to see it. He led her to a valley hidden between cliffs. There it was, a town built by human hands, but with alien architecture. Mixed in, domes shaped by Brutari. Gardens arranged like Zaran homes. Even a sky tower powered by solar wind, a design only found on Dervan outposts. Children ran through the streets. Some had gills, some had antennae. Some looked completely human. But all of them laughed the same. The village elder, a wrinkled Dervan with 6 eyes, greeted her with a handshake. Welcome to Haven, he said. The place the galaxy forgot, she asked him. Why haven't you told anyone? The council thinks Earth is dangerous, he smiled. That's because we are. But not in the way they fear. She frowned. Then what way? Because we don't need them, he said. Not anymore. Earth gave us something no empire ever did, peace. That night, Ezra sat beneath a tall tree with Lyra, the Zaran girl. The child held a tablet and drew a star map. Her fingers moved fast. Ezra recognized council routes, but also secret ones lost in archives. Where did you learn this? Ezra asked. Lyra smiled. From the gardener. He used to be a ship engineer. Fixed a crashed scout ship. It still works, but we don't use it. He says if we fly too high, Someone will get scared. Ezra couldn't sleep. She kept thinking of the council, the way they measured planets by their military threat, not their wisdom. And yet here was Earth, quietly building something bigger. She finally activated her emergency transmitter. A small green light blinked once. That was all she needed. The council would come, but she didn't run. She stayed. When the recovery ship landed 2 days later, she stood between it and the village. She told the retrieval team to wait. She told them not to point their weapons. She told them to listen. Her superior's voice came through the channel. "Do you have the proof?" Ezra took a deep breath. "Yes," she said. "I've seen it. I've touched it. Earth is real. And we're not ready for it." The voice was confused. "Not ready? You mean it's hostile?" "No," she replied. "It's not hostile. It's worse. It's evolved." Before they could reply, the man the gardener appeared beside her. He looked at the ship calmly. "Will they shoot us?" he asked. "Not today," she answered. He gave a slow nod. "Good, then tell them this. We're done hiding. If you want more proof, we'll send it. But it won't be weapons. It'll be words, history, stories. Everything you lost in your wars, we kept it. All of it." The ship left without firing. But the council received a signal, one containing data, not from satellites, not from spies. From Earth itself. The signal included recordings of old council explorers who had stayed behind. Writings, maps, research, testimonies, even ancient peace treaties torn up by the council centuries. Ago still preserved by humans in sealed vaults. It was proof not just of Earth's power, but of its memory. Back at the council chambers, panic turned into silence. The first votes were cast: attack, retreat, contain, erase. But then the oldest of them all, the archivist, raised a hand. "You want to destroy Earth," he said. "But it remembers us, and still, it did not strike first. Why?" No one answered, because there was no answer. Earth was real. Earth was waiting. And Earth had just started talking. Asterisk, for the first time in council history, the chamber played human music. It wasn't a declaration of war. It wasn't a code. It was a melody, soft, strange, and full of sorrow. The tune came with the signal Earth had sent, along with hundreds of files. Each file held something the galaxy had forgotten. The sound echoed through the halls like a memory waking up. The archivist stood near the central display, watching silent footage of human cities, forests, children playing in rivers, and soldiers crying beside gravestones. None of it was designed to impress. It was all raw, real, unfiltered. "This isn't proof of strength," one counselor whispered. "It's proof of pain." "No," the archivist replied. "It's both." Others watched too, but confusion grew. "Why send this?" a Brutari commander asked. "They could show us weapons. Instead, they show us people." The footage shifted. Now it showed a human hospital where injured alien civilians were being treated. Nurses spoke in soft voices. One human boy sat beside a wounded Kulnari pilot, holding her hand while she wept. Then came the testimonies. Alien voices recorded clearly, speaking about their time on Earth. "Humans are loud, emotional, sometimes reckless. But when I was shot, they carried me 5 miles without asking my name. They fed me before asking what side I fought for. They buried our dead beside theirs. Same soil, same stones." Some council members wept. Others clenched their fists in silence. Then came the last file. It was a video taken from a deep vault inside a mountain. A human stood in front of an ancient screen showing a council document. It was a peace offer, rejected long ago. The humans had kept it safe. The man spoke clearly. "You left, we stayed. You erased us from your maps. But we remembered you. We remembered your ships, your colors, your oaths. We kept the truth while you rewrote history, so here it is." In your own words, the chamber fell into complete silence. There was nothing to say. The high speaker finally stood. "Do we respond?" the archivist answered. "We already did. With silence, with war, with denial. Now Earth has responded with truth. If we ignore it, we lose what little honor we still hold. So a decision was made not to fight. Not yet, but to speak. They sent a delegation. No weapons, no threats. Just 10 envoys from 10 different worlds. And they asked for one thing only, a meeting. Earth responded faster than expected. The envoys were invited to land at a place called the Wall. Not a fortress, not a command center. It was a museum. The delegates landed on a flat green plain. The air was warm, the sky soft blue. No guards waited for them, just one woman standing. Alone. She wore no armor. She had no weapons. Her name was Mara. She welcomed them with a smile and a simple phrase. "Let me show you who we are." She led them through the museum's gates, where walls were filled with paintings, photographs, and artifacts from Earth's oldest conflicts, wars between humans. The images showed pain, fire, loss, but also rebuilding, mercy, forgiveness. She said, "This is not to show we are violent. You already know that. This is to show we learn." In one room, the delegates saw alien uniforms beside human ones, placed together behind glass. A sign read, "Former enemies, now family." In another room, they saw broken weapons, melted down and reshaped into musical instruments. A Zaran diplomat whispered, "You make music from your wars?" Mara replied, "No, we make peace from them. Music is just the sound it makes." In the final room, there was a single chair with a helmet on it. The sign above it read, "The first to fall." Beneath the helmet was a list of names, thousands. Human and alien, Mara said. These were the ones who believed peace was worth dying for. Some of them were your people. They stayed when you didn't. They helped us build everything you see here. One Brutari ambassador stepped closer. His eyes scanned the names, and suddenly his face changed. "My uncle," he whispered. "I thought he was dead." Mara nodded gently. "He was, but not before saving over 200 lives in the firestorm. He asked to be buried here. He said Earth was the first place that felt like home." No one spoke for a long time. Then the youngest envoy, a child from the aquatic world of Kel, stepped forward. "Why now?" she asked. "Why send this message now?" Mara looked up at the stars. "Because the galaxy is forgetting what it means to feel," she said. "You grow colder. You build machines to make decisions. But we remember what pain feels like. And that's why we don't want war. But if war comes, we'll make you feel it again." The envoys left Earth not with fear, but with something heavier, shame, and a question they could not answer. If humans remembered everything, even the pain others tried to bury, then what else were they holding back? The envoys returned to the Galactic Council carrying more than reports. They carried doubt in their hearts. What they saw on Earth had shaken them. Not because humans were violent, but because they remembered everything. They remembered what? The Council tried to forget. They remembered the betrayals, the abandoned treaties, the silent wars that had never been spoken aloud. And yet, Earth hadn't retaliated. Not once. The council chambers filled once again. This time more planets. Attended than ever before. Even the silent ones. Even the neutral ones. Everyone wanted to understand what Earth truly was. General Tolan stood before them again, but he looked tired now. His voice was slower, not with fear, but with respect. "They didn't lie," he said. "Their memories match our own records, ones sealed for centuries. We left them behind thinking they would fade. Instead, they grew. They built a civilization around truth. Minister Vral, who once dismissed Earth as a myth, now sat silent. He held a single frame in his hand, a photo taken inside the museum. It showed his species' crest on a flag held by a human child. "They remembered our first contact," he whispered. It was just a scout mission. We never even logged it. But they remembered. They even kept the transmission we sent. The one we deleted from our own archives. The high speaker looked around. The chamber. So what now? Do we negotiate? Apologize? Do we beg? Someone muttered. Then the old archivist stepped forward again. He placed a data crystal in the center of the table. The lights dimmed as a single message played. It had just arrived from Earth. The voice was calm, steady, and impossible to ignore. You have asked who we are. You have asked what we want. You fear we are a weapon. But you're wrong. We are a mirror. And now we offer a final gift. Not to show you what we can do, but what we already did. The image changed. Not a museum. Not a battlefield. A crater, a massive scar across Earth's surface. Dark, dead, ancient. The voice continued. This is where the last council bomb fell. You called it an error. We called it extinction. A whole city gone. You thought we died. We didn't. We rebuilt. Not just the buildings, but the memory. We turned this place into a seed. Now the crater was green. Trees. Glass towers. Children's laughter. Solar fields stretched across the hills. Water flowed again. And at the center one stone, standing alone, with no names. Just one sentence. We forgive, but we do not forget. Some council members couldn't breathe. Others left the chamber without a word. But the rest stayed. They knew the meaning now. Earth had not sent proof to earn respect. They had sent it to offer a choice. Then the final part of the message played. Star map. It showed dozens of planets, council planets. All marked, not with weapons, but with footprints, human ones. Some old, some recent. Earth had already been there. Secretly. Quietly. And they had left gifts. Libraries, cures, energy systems, even hidden shelters. They had been helping from the shadows while the council debated their existence. You ignored us. The voice said, so we chose to help where help was needed. Quietly. Because truth doesn't need permission to exist. That was when fear changed. Not fear of war, fear of being forgotten. Fear that Earth had already moved on, already outgrown. The council. And that the council, the proud heart of the galaxy, had become the slowest mind in the stars. In a side chamber, young diplomats argued about sending a delegation again. This time to beg for alliance. Others warned it was too late. But one voice rose above them all. A deep, growling tone full of guilt. It was the Brutari ambassador. He had once voted for Earth's destruction. Now his eyes were wet as he spoke. I once called them animals. I was wrong. They are not beneath us. They are beyond us. And I fear what comes next is not their judgment, it's their silence. If they stop speaking, we are lost. And far across the stars on Earth, the gardener stood once more beside the crashed ship that had brought Captain Ezra. He looked up at the sky, then down at the small garden growing where the crater once was. Beside him stood Ezra. She no longer wore her armor. She had planted her first tree that morning. They'll answer soon, she said. He nodded. Maybe. And if they don't? She asked. Then they've already made their choice. He said. And so have we. Behind them, a new signal began transmitting, not a warning, not a threat, not even an invitation, just coordinates. A location. One place in the galaxy the Council had forbidden from exploring long ago, the birthplace of something. Older than the Council itself, Earth was leading them there. But why? And what waited in the dark? The coordinates Earth sent pointed to a dead star system, buried in shadows near the edge of the galactic core. No trade routes passed near it. No species had settled there. The Council had once marked it as a void zone, unstable, unimportant, empty. But now 20 ships floated in its orbit, silent and tense. They came from every Council race, from allies and enemies alike. All drawn by the question Earth had left hanging in the stars. Why send us here? The planet they found was small, rocky, and cold. No atmosphere, no cities, no light. But deep beneath the surface, there was a structure, an ancient vault made of obsidian steel, hidden under layers of dust and time. The ship sent drones first. Nothing returned. Then came the teams, landing slowly, moving through tunnels built by something not entirely alien, but not familiar either. Inside the vault were no weapons, no traps. Only walls covered in carvings, thousands of them. Symbols. From every species in the galaxy, even extinct ones. Even those the Council had never seen before. At the heart of the vault stood a stone table, and on it a small flame. It should not have burned. There was no air, no fuel. Yet it glowed gently, warming the chamber in a way none of them could explain. A human was already there, sitting beside the flame. He looked up calmly as the delegates entered. "You came," he said. "Good, now you can remember. What is this place?" A Brutari leader asked. "This," the human said, standing slowly, "is where your history began." No one believed him at first. Until the walls responded. They lit up lines glowing blue, forming maps. Star systems, ancient trade routes, worlds lost to time. One by one, images filled the chamber, memories long erased. Truths buried by war and pride. And then came the final truth. Earth had not evolved after the Council. Earth came before it. The galaxy had forgotten, or pretended. But deep in this vault was the proof, the first star alliance, long before the current Council was born. And among its founding species were humans. They erased us, the human said. Not because we failed, but because we warned them what was coming. They didn't listen, so they destroyed the records. Left Earth behind. Told themselves we were a myth, but we never stopped remembering. Gasps echoed through the room. Some fell to their knees. Others whispered curses. The entire foundation of the Galactic Council began to tremble, not from war, not from fire, but from truth. We built this place as a seed, the human continued. So one day, when the galaxy was ready to remember again, it could return here and see what it once was. Not to worship Earth, but to remember what it meant to build something together. "You've spent centuries fearing us," he said, stepping back toward the flame. "But we were never your enemies. We were your beginning. And now maybe your second chance." The flame grew brighter, and then slowly others stepped forward. Alien diplomats, old soldiers, even scientists who once called Earth unstable. They placed their hands near the flame. One by one, it welcomed them. No heat, no fire. Just memory. A Zaran ambassador whispered, "We called Earth a death world, but we were wrong. It was a cradle." They left the vault changed. Back in the Council chambers, there were no more debates, no votes. Just silence. Because for the first time in centuries, everyone understood their place in something greater. Earth had not demanded obedience. It had offered truth, and the galaxy had accepted it. Later on Earth, the museum near the crater was expanded. A new wing was built. Inside it, 10 empty chairs stood in the circle, waiting for the delegates to return. Above them, a simple sign was carved in many languages. Not leaders, not rulers. Just voices finally listening. The gardener stood outside, watching the stars. Ezra joined him, carrying a tablet full of messages from distant worlds. Apologies, questions, offers of peace. "Real ones this time. You think they'll keep their word?" she asked. The gardener smiled, eyes full of old light. "No," he said. "But now they'll remember." And that's the beginning of everything. Above them, in the night sky, a single bright star pulsed 3 times, a coded signal. Not a warning, not a threat, just a promise. We are still here, we always were, and we're watching now, together.